So we've played it 3 times now.
Sure.
We've finally gotten...
Well,
yeah, we finally got a game where we, like, really played it, I feel like, on that one.
Yeah.
So I'd like to talk about it a little bit. What do you guys think?
It's fun.
Yeah, I think part of the problem I have with the hidden role games is when there's another game on top of that, sometimes you don't get a chance to play that game.
Right.
And this is clearly going to be one of those where not every time you're going to get a longer game out of this. But
Yeah.
I think it's still... I mean, it's simple enough. The actual game that you're doing is simple enough. And when I was like focused on like just trying to get this stuff done, I was like, oh, I have not been paying attention, and I've just been avoiding everyone and doing tasks and not paying attention, which I think is a
to like who's
thing.
putting what where.
Yeah. Not doing a lot of social deduction and just focusing on, let me try and score victory points. It feels like it would be tough to get enough victory points to win.
Well, that's kind of like Among Us, where it's very rare that you finish all the tasks without figuring out either them winning or you figuring it out.
But
that's really just a time clock. You know?
I mean,
but it also feels like, at least with 1 cultist and 5 investigators, boy, the odds are stacked against you.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Especially with the seer, like.
Yeah, having a seer, I feel like you don't even need.
You don't necessarily have to have the seer involved.
Oh, okay.
That was an optional thing, but it felt like having 1 role with special powers wasn't crazy.
And to be fair, like I didn't have that much influence. Like I knew who it was, and I was avoiding him. Like I purposely. That's why I went over here instead of going this way, because someone was posted up here. I'm like, I'm not being alone in a room with him. I'm going this way.
But you were already dead anyway.
Yeah, I mean technically I was already dead, but I didn't know that.
Right. There are a lot of other roles in the base game. There's a whole appendix of other roles that can get incorporated there.
Crybaby.
To just add some more variability into the situation.
How does other cultist roles go without you like giving it away by doing the special action?
I need you to rephrase that question.
Well, like, so one of the cultists is Crybaby, where it's you die after you had to reveal a dead character during a check a state action or the false eyes watching you event.
I believe all of these characters, yes, they're on the cultist team, but they are not cultists. They're like a jester type character or something,
like the Tanner,
the chaos
or
agent.
Gotcha.
That's just trying to make the investigators lose, but they are not actually on the team.
Yeah. I see.
Oh, you die instantly. Okay, so that's what this is like.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's what that was reminding
They
you, hey,
die
Firestarter, you're dead if you haven't spent those cards or something. And they've got like a little scoring system that tries to help you sway things.
Okay.
Right. Oh yeah, so like the mechanic is +3 to the investigators,
there's a little
the Firestarter is +2.
There's a little blurb in the rule book that helps parse this. That's just like, hey, if you're experienced at social deduction games and you want to weight things more in favor of one team or the other, that's what that little column is for. So there's a ton of additional roles in the base game. There are also 2 expansions.
Wow.
That are pretty hefty. These add additional roles and additional rooms.
Holy crap.
Like you can make the house bigger or a different configuration or something. The game supports 4 to 8 players.
Wow.
At 4, you have to incorporate an AI
for a 5th
player for a 5th. And at 6, you can use an AI player to have a second cultist. There's no reason to have an AI player at 5, because you'd still only have 1 cultist. So there's a whole lot of game to this game. I feel like there's a lot of game to the core game itself.
Yeah.
I think my main issue, there needs to be more risk for the non-cultists.
Yeah.
I think like
more ways to die or
even accidentally putting bad cards.
Yeah.
Because it's really like once a deck runs out like that or whatever, it's hard to.
I wanted the secret Hitler thing of like take 2 and choose
exactly.
one.
That would be interesting because then it's like, oh, I drew 2 bad ones, and it's going to look like I put one on purpose.
Yeah.
That, if anything, would kind of make it much more interesting.
If you had like 1 or 2 bad cards in everybody's deck, and you did play
something like
play
that.
it face
That-
down.
Or like me, where it's like, I've run out of my pulse cards. All I have are like 2 murdery things.
All I have
Right.
left
It's
is to kill somebody.
I mean,
Yeah.
technically, I think
There's-
you could
there's
sort
an
it into
assassin
2.
roll that
Yeah,
I think
I
does
saw
that or
that in
something.
there.
You could sort your deck into 2 decks in front of you, have them shuffled with 1 or 2 bad cards if you're a good person, but then play them face down and only keep this,
Yeah.
that would
Maybe
be an interesting
everybody's
element.
Yeah,
but it would
everybody's
be-
deck is face down, and you've got to play blindly, and there's
and then,
there's
like,
a
the
chance of
majority are
bad
green,
stuff,
but
and-
yeah.
yeah.
I think that would make it more
I don't know.
interesting.
Yeah, something like that. My biggest complaint with it is how long the setup takes.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, it's a long setup, and you could just log onto your computer. and play
Yeah,
Among Us.
I could play Among Us.
Yeah, and also like for hidden role games, I mean, One Night Ultimate Werewolf is my favorite, and that has no setup at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Deception,
this
Murder,
one,
in
my
Hong Kong
problem
is
is
my favorite.
being a good
That's
guy.
good.
I feel like isn't that fun.
Yeah.
You're just going to your spots and
Yeah.
doing your thing.
Yeah.
Whereas in other ones,
There's
you are
stuff
much
for you
more
to
involved
do.
in the
Yeah.
hidden role part.
Yeah.
This feels a little too heavy on the. It almost feels like it wants to be like a co-op game, and the co-op game is not that interesting.
Right. There's
And
not
then-
a lot to the co-op element.
Right. So
This-
like when I was good guy, I'm like, oh yeah, I
there's
go
no
to my spot.
need.
Yeah.
Like, we did a little bit of teaming up in this one, but there's no need to team up.
Yeah.
You could all just stay separate
yeah.
and not. If you needed to team up in something like Secret Hitler or like I have Avalon, I forget, it's like this Resistance.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, we have to like form a team and
Yeah.
who's gonna be on it, and that adds a certain
Yeah.
level too of like risk.
I think
from the
it-
good guys end.
I think this is a comment mostly for Dustin and Eric because they're the ones at the table who I know have played these other 2 games. I think we played Patriot
Yeah,
on the
much
show
better
a
than
few weeks
Patriot.
ago.
Yeah.
This blows Patriot out of
Yeah.
the water.
Oh, yeah.
Patriot was a social deduction game that suffered from way too complicated of a game on top of
It was
that.
like it was playing
It was a
Dead
co-
of it was Dead of
Yeah.
Winter like style.
Yeah,
like,
it was a
like,
co-op game that was just way too hard to begin with
Yeah.
to add in the social deduction element.
Yeesh.
This is like too simple. Like
Right.
that was too complicated.
And
This is too simple.
Yeah.
The one that I think hit the nail on the head for us that we've played is the Stuff of Legend.
Yeah.
Which is the one that's a co-op game
Yeah.
It has a hidden.
that has a hidden role element to it, but it's just complicated enough. The co-op element is difficult enough that that's your focus, but there's also that thing in the back of your mind that, wait, but I can't trust anyone. So that's where I think, like, just on the spectrum for me, I feel like this one is just a little bit, I'm with you on that. It's a little too simple to be a good guy,
Yes.
and the setup is too complicated for it to be that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The co-op element is difficult enough that that's your focus, but there's also that thing in the back of your mind that, wait, but I can't trust anyone. So that's where I think, like, just on the spectrum for me, I feel like this one is just a little bit, I'm with you on that. It's a little too simple to be a good guy,
Yes.
and the setup is too complicated for it to be that simple.
Yeah.
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 But there is more game to it. We haven't played all of it,
Yeah,
obviously.
that's true,
with
yeah.
additional roles, that could spice
I
things
always-
up.
And adding more people.
Additional
also
mechanics
might-
from the expansion.
I understand.
Yeah,
8.
7 or 8 could
Does 7
make this
to 8
game very
add the
different.
second cultist?
Yes.
I understand.
I also
That
think,
would also-
I think
An
a
extra
second
cultist could
cultist
spice
would
things
make a
up.
big difference
That would make
too.
a big
An
difference.
extra cultist and some other roles in the mix with
Yeah.
other powers, I think, would make this game a lot more fun.
Yeah.
So,
that
that
it wasn't
said,
fun. I had
Almost
a good
treating it
time.
like
It's
this is the entry.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is our
almost
first play
like-
review. Yeah,
A high cost of entry to get
Yeah.
into the other.
right.
Yeah, I mean it's not like I didn't have fun playing it.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
for the amount of setup when you could just go to your computer and play.
Right,
It's
yeah.
Basically
Yeah,
the same
exactly.
gist.
Pretty-
but if you
yeah.
added the extra roles, like Among Us doesn't have that many special roles.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's an interesting concept. I think it's a little overly fiddly. I think the root cards We managed them, obviously, but there's just a lot of honor system involved with those.
I think they certainly have an effect, though.
Yeah,
they definitely have an effect.
Oh, they have an effect, but it's the.
But it's
the
very honor system on whether or not
aspect.
you're actually playing according to the rules with them.
Oh, somebody flipped that one, huh?
Oh yeah, he was just looking at the other
Check
side.
it out. Open up whole new entrance.
Yeah. And the setup with just like, okay, this deck has this many of each card, this deck has this many of each card, all of that.
It's a little fiddly.
Yeah, and if you like f it up, you're like, oh, everyone give me your cards back and we're gonna put it all back in the envelopes. And,
I truly don't need why I need 2 tokens to pass when you could just have one that has the 2 sides
Why
on
doesn't
it.
this just like on the handle have
that icon?
the icons?
Yeah.
You don't need this one.
Yeah.
Unless there are things that make you move the knife around.
Maybe there are some other rules. That's possible.
Yeah, there
That's
might be
all
other
I can
rules.
think
But-
of, though.
But
It's fine
is there
for
a
the
reason?
speculation.
I guess to keep the first player marked separately from the knife. Yeah. So it's just it's a little fiddly for how simple of a game it is.
Sure.
Hey, thanks for checking out BNB Tabletop, the home of the Board and Barrel, a live show every Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific where me and my buddies play board games. If you haven't seen it, you're missing out. We like to keep things interactive with our Buff and Nerf house rules that allow you to influence the course of the game, and virtual bingo cards that could win you a free board game of your own. So do us a favor, do yourself a favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that notification bell. Thanks again for stopping by. We'll see you Sunday night.